Namaste, my galactic family. This is Angel Asim. More for the umehllohzohreh. Pleiadian consciousness here for you. My galactic family, I love you. I adore you. I like to respond to brothers and sisters who ask me a very nice question. In a way, it looks like a contradiction, but it's not. Let me explain to you. And let me remind you to please look at all Pleiadian Morpho films on 10 different YouTube channels, because more timelines are we going to reach. I'm doing this because more timelines are reachable through different portals. And at least minimum, if I could go live for all of you, my galactic family, on 3 out of those 10, I'm going to make one more, last one. That's going to be number 11. That's the number 11. At least minimum on 3 of those, I'm going to go live. We're going to open a portal. And like this, we can assist and help many more parallel realities, parallel universes. If I could ask you, brothers and sisters, to subscribe, and ask brothers and sisters from all Pleiadian Morpho films to subscribe on Aura Integrated 369. Because we need a little bit over 50 subscribers to go live on that channel. And another channel is Pleiadian Morpho Linda Jackson. If you could please ask all the brothers and sisters who can go to those YouTube channels and subscribe, so we can go live on them, so it might be much easier for me to deliver messages for you. Because when we go live, it's a different portal. When I'm recording this and I'm giving to you, it's a message. But when we going live, we open portal. It's a message with a portal opening. So we, through even one person listening on live information, is much potent and more expansive than, hundreds of brothers and sisters could watch something recorded, have more profound interaction if it's live, so it's very important. If I could ask you to please assist me with those 2 channels, because the original one, Morpho 33 Morpho, we have over 475 subscribers, so it's very easy, to give a live channelings there. And look, there are a few films there I did live for you. But right now, I like to respond to a few brothers and sisters who ask me. The last film I did on Aura Integrated 255. This is gonna be a part 2 of that film, because I would like to respond to brothers and sisters who ask me a very, very profound question. In a way, it looks like it's a contradiction, but I'll explain you why it's not a contradiction. What I mentioned, film number 255, my galactic family, on Aura Integrated 369, I mentioned about the sequence of time, perspective, consciousness. And when I mention is the beings in higher dimensions, their consciousness rate is very, very fast. That's why they are very sharp in a way, in their mind. In 3-dimensional reality, the rate of consciousness is very, very slow. It doesn't mean somebody's a slow, a thinker. You could be very, very sharp, but I'm speaking about the rate of consciousness. I mean, rate of consciousness, that means processing data to the point where you can reflect on those hidden dots, and you can connect more dots and see clearly more things than just a regular person. This is what it means, my galactic family. So it's nothing to do if somebody's intelligent or not so smart, if you will. When I'm talking about the rates of consciousness, it means how you process data, compare to here and compare to parallel realities and how you connect the dots. This is the data we're speaking here, my galactic family. So let's back up a little bit and let's answer the profound question I received from brothers and sisters about this. So in three-dimensional reality, my galactic family, outside of sphere of influence, time goes very, very, very quickly, very quickly. Inside of sphere of influence, because your mind is on a slow frequency, what happens, my galactic family, compared to, let me give you a point of reference so you know where we're coming from here. Beings, for example, Pleiadians in fifth dimensional frequency, their mind is on a very high frequency, their consciousness. But the outside of their sphere of influence, the time goes much slower than in three-dimensional reality. So the confusion was when I told you that when you're more in the present moment, you don't age that much. You slow down the time. But where? See? Listen to me carefully, my galactic family. Please listen to me carefully. Listen to me. Inside of sphere of influence, you got time modulation frequency. Time modulation frequency is inside of sphere of influence. The outside of sphere of influence, those are time sequences through parallel realities, parallel universes, my galactic family. That's outside of sphere of influence. So when you don't blow candles, for example, on your birthday cake every year, you don't use that ritual to become older every year. Those people who don't practice birthdays because it's demonic. I told you that so many years ago. When you don't practice this, my galactic family, you notice those people are much younger. And when you're more in the present moment, the time goes faster than regular, but you don't age that much. And that was the confusion a lot of you had. That was the confusion. The outside of sphere of influence, time goes very fast in three-dimensional reality. In the mind of a person in three-dimensional reality, the consciousness rate is very slow. But when you're in the present moment, so-called, you don't age that much, but time goes even faster than regular. How we can understand this deeper. Higher in consciousness, my galactic family, it's how more in the present moment you are. How coherent you are in the present moment. Because even if you're meditating, you're not fully in the present moment. And there's always some kind of distortion. Because the chakras, your karma, your dharma, the frequency outside of a sphere of influence, inside of sphere of influence, this all makes perfect sense. And it's all in collaboration between the energies of itself. So very important is, my galactic family, what's the mechanics of it? Listen to me. A regular person have a regular life in three-dimensional reality. And his consciousness, that person who have a regular life in three-dimensional reality, my galactic family, his rate of consciousness is very, very slow. He could be very sharp. He could be very intelligent, very quick, sharp in the 3D things. I'm not saying that. He could be a mastermind, yeah. But I'm talking about the rate of connecting the dots, the rate of the rate of connecting the dots is the rate how often you visit space where you become yourself. And this is where you come in the present moment. More you are in the present moment, You can be adult. You can have responsibilities. You can have all those 9 yards, my galactic family. But more often, you're gonna visit your inner child, your present moment. That's your frequency. Your inner child and curiosity. Put it together. This is a soup with passion, love. This is the whole soup to be in a ground zero of your childlike frequency. So a regular person, his mind is on a rate very slow. Outside of sphere of influence is going very, very fast compared to higher dimensions. Compared to higher dimensions. That's why inside of sphere of influence, the time lag. It's like, oh my God, I'm from the stars. How long I'm gonna be here? You have a feeling you are here forever. It's like it's so long, It's when it's gonna end. That feeling comes from that distortion of time because you are outside of sphere of influence, but you are forced to be inside of sphere of influence because you are in so-called closed system here. Even if you jump billion times per second to per realities, what we're talking about, you are locked in on the specific frequency, even if you jump per realities. This is what it means. So let's erase the confusion to be clear. When you speed up your consciousness frequency in three-dimensional reality inside of sphere of influence, when you speed up your consciousness by prostrating, by meditating, by connecting the dots, but doing and mentioning all those things I mentioned in all Pleiadian morpho films. That's how you building your momentum. Look previous films, how important it is to build your own momentum, the rhythm. Everything is a momentum in the universe, everything. So my galactic family, when you raise the frequency of your consciousness, you lock in with the speeding of time outside of sphere of influence. You are almost on the same rate of speed as outside of sphere of influence. And the side effects of this is that you are more protected inside of sphere of influence. That's why you are sliding through. It's like the mechanism I just described. It's like you sliding the same rate outside of sphere of influence with all the parallel universes. But you, by your consciousness, because consciousness in your third eye, this is where your seed, where your Merkaba is. This is a lot of you don't know this. Let me remind you one more time. The Merkaba, it's not around you. It's only around your head. It's a small. Merkaba is very small. The sphere of influence is an amplifier. It's a mirror, amplifier, energetic mirror, and reflects the Merkaba. And looks like you think it's huge. Merkaba is huge because it depends on your rate of your consciousness how you expand your Merkaba, and the relativity and reflection and your amplifier is a sphere of influence, and you can even create a ship out of your Merkaba. So when your mind is slow in three-dimensional reality and outside of sphere of influence, the time goes very, very quickly. When you lock in frequency, not physically only, I'm talking about your mind rate consciousness. The level of your awareness locks in with that speed of outside of sphere of influence. You create a side effect, a positive distortion, and sphere of influence is creating another layer of bubble of protection around you, and that side effect is, my galactic family, very healthy because it protects you. The time goes even twice quicker than in regular person in three-dimensional reality, even sometimes 3 times quicker, but you don't age much. You don't hardly age because you are. What happens when you lock your conscious awareness with the outside of sphere of influence, the rhythm, the momentum, the speed? You're creating a distortion, positive distortion, in such a manner that all the chakras are protected from the difference between the outside and the inside of the sphere of influence. They are protected from that distortion, the outside from the inside. Your all of your chakras are protected like this. That's why the time goes even 3 times quicker, and you age. You notice all those people who have very 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 much awakened they are in their consciousness, they speed up their thought process. Not they are more sharp than any genius. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those, because could be a genius in three-dimensional reality, but he have no clue when you're going to tell them about the universal laws and things. They hardly can connect any dots. This is what I'm saying here. There's levels to consciousness, my galactic family. So you see how important that is. So we establish this right now. So let me give you another point of reference. So this, what I just told you, will stick in for you much easier. When you are in higher dimensions, the outside, if you are in fifth dimension reality, the outside of sphere of influence, the time goes much slower. You know why? Because already the consciousness of a being from higher dimensions, what I just told you, in three-dimensional reality, when you raise the awareness consciousness and you match the frequency outside of sphere of influence, what happens? So-called, you slowing down the time. But the slowing out the time, it's actually you merging with all of those parallel realities and parallel universes who are more aligned with you. Because if you don't match your speed of your consciousness with the outside of sphere of influence, you are in distortion. That's why so many people are like, why I went through this again. Another time I'm the same thing again, and the same thing again, and the same thing again. And it's always coming back. It's like a cycle. See, everything is in a rhythm. I told you, everything is in a cycle. So by raising your awareness consciousness and through our heart space as well, this is very important. The time slows, so-called, it's not slowing down, but in understanding the purposes only, it's slowing down for, let's look a little bit different on it. It's not slowing down, it's actually you are jumping to more parallel realities, more parallel universes who are more aligned with you. You are jumping more to all of those timelines who are more aligned with you. Because when you're being in three-dimensional reality, a consciousness rate is very slow. You randomly jumping to pair realities. It's like you go all over the place. That's why we see such a chaos in three-dimensional reality. So already being from fifth-dimensional reality, already their consciousness rate is very, very high, very sharp. That's why they can send telepathic communication to your mind here in a split second, and it could be a book of information, and you have to they're going to take you a couple days to write it out in automatic writing, if you will. So you see where we're coming from here. Somebody like the family, the being in a higher dimension, let's call it Pleiadians, yeah, their sphere of influence and outside of sphere of influence of Pleiadian being is they are already on a higher octave of their consciousness. So they already, the speed is, imagine the speed outside is always the same. It's always the same. In higher dimensions, because this may be, because I'm going a little bit too deep for you, so it's much confusing. So let's simplify. Everywhere the rate is the same. The time goes outside of sphere of influence. But by being in fifth dimensional reality, you already, your conscious rate of your consciousness, your thought process, how you connect the dots, you already jumping billion times per second through pararealities, but they are perfectly aligned with your beings, with your Merkaba. Because your Merkaba is not in your heart space, it's where your mind is, where your third eye is. but the power point is in a heart space. So how come the mind is more powerful than the heart space? It's another contradiction. No, let me explain. Something amazing I'm going to tell you again. Because always your heart space always emits frequency you call sphere of influence. Always. And that what I just told you, that's the amplifier. Doesn't matter. In all your chakras, you got different elements. We're going to go through that in 2027. What's each chakra? You have totally different. You got so many different aspects, to you that it's beyond. It's beyond. But let's focus on this right now. Let's start with this, and it's going to be easier when we're going to go on into the more chakras and more connectivity. So being in a higher dimension, the time rate outside goes the same rate, but because they are more refined, more precise, because here the difference is a lot of people can be aligned, being in the present moment. It's healthy for them. Yeah, they don't age that much. They look younger. They are more healthier. But you see, there's a lot of interference from the frequency from three-dimensional matrix. And a lot of people are still not awakened. So it, in a way, affects your frequency. But in fifth dimension reality, all beings are on that same level of the frequency. And this is when the game is changing. Listen to this. So, my galactic family, a being from fifth dimensional reality, my galactic family, the outside of sphere of influence, it seems much slower than on Earth, because there is no difference between brothers and sisters. There's 10,000 people are super awakened, a million people are not awakened, another 3 million are so-called awakened, and another 3 million are maybe awakened. See, there's the imagine the pull on the universe through parallel realities, parallel universes. It's like the huge distortions is trying to make a focus for everybody here. That's why we have such a collaboration of different frequencies here. So much slower goes time in higher you go, slower the time goes. Higher you go, slower the time goes. And like I mentioned in the film 255, Aura Integrated 369, this is the second part of that film. Like I just mentioned, that lower in the dimension you are, the lowest of you, when you go the lowest to the lowest to the lowest of the all dimensions in all universes, the time is the quickest, because there's the biggest distortion. There is actually the lowest frequencies and the lowest timelines and the lowest of the lowest of the lowest of the dimensions. And I'm talking about the evil ones, those not so good ones, if you will. They have extremely big distortion because they've been never in their heart space. They did a lot of harm. So imagine all of those, when the separation happens, all of those souls every 13 million years, the balancing of the universe is happening. I've been through one before. My soul is over 14 million years old, my galactic family. So I've been there, I've done that. So listen to me, my galactic family. So the beings, my galactic family, from the evil frequency, the lowest of the lowest of the lowest, because their mind rate is so evil and is so slow, that outside of their sphere influence, the time goes so quickly, that 1 second for a being like this, they feel like they are forever in hell. This is where this comes from, the feeling they're gonna have. Do you see now the big picture here? Do you see now, my galactic family, what's happening here? And higher in goodness, how good you are, higher dimensions, higher every time you go to higher dimensions, the time compressed, the time goes slower and goes slower and goes slower and goes slower and goes slower. And actually, there's a one point in the universe, in creation, even if the God is everything and He is everything and He's everywhere. I'm talking about the core, a point of consciousness of Prime Creator. That's the only one place in the entire of creation where there is no time. There is no time there. And every being in the universe is doing everything to go up the ladder of the frequency to so-called live forever, to be timeless. Because to have just a drop portion of that feeling of zero, that there is no time, completely zero. Because even in higher dimension, in 12th dimension, you got so-called time. Only up to 99 dimension, where's Prime Creator. 99 dimension, that's where Prime Creator is. That's where the time completely stops. And a lot of those dimensions, my galactic family, higher you go, you are more aligned. You jumping more through those universes, and you so align. That's why compared to lower dimensions, the time in higher dimensions goes very, very slowly. It's like 2 hours in Palladian world in 5D. It's the whole day right here. You see where we're coming with this? In a way, all your life in three-dimensional reality, that's only 2 hours where you are right now. I am Renegade member, Family of Light, Systems Buster, available for altering systems of consciousness within a pre-world universe on call. My galactic family, I ask you, please share Palladian Morpho Films on 10 different YouTube channels. Down in the description, you got all of those YouTube channels. I ask you with all of my heart, my lovely brothers and sisters, at least subscribe to Linda Jackson Palladian Morpho channel and Aura Integrated 369. Because when I connect those two channels with the original one, Morpho 33 Morpho, we make a perfect frequency, so I can go live on those two channels as well. And I can, and when we're gonna do that, I don't need to record anything for you. I'm just gonna go live every time, and like this, you're gonna feel me. You're gonna feel me 300 times more. You're gonna understand, and you're gonna feel me when I'm gonna go live, than you just listening to me when I just record things. That's why it's very important. I love you, my galactic family. Namaste.